My name's Ash from Groundwork East, and in this video series we're going to be going through several of the basic techniques that you're going to need to know to learn how to grow and plant your own fruits, vegetables, herbs and flowers at home in your garden. So in the first video, if you haven't seen it already, was about sowing seeds. So if you haven't watched it already, go back and watch it and come back when you've got some seedlings. This one is going to be about transplanting. Transplanting basically means moving our plants. And in this video I'm going to show you a couple of techniques and reasons as to why we'll want to transplant our plants and how to do it at home. Once our seedlings have gotten to the right size, that'd be when the roots are starting to come out the bottom of, maybe it's in a seed tray, a seedling cell tray like this, or if they're in the bottom of a smaller pot that you started them in, you'll start to see the roots coming out the bottom. Or when you start to see the first true leaves coming out the side. So when they first sprout, this is a bean, when it first sprouts you get the first set of leaves, which aren't technically their true leaves, and then after that you get their first true proper leaves after that. Then you know that it's basically ready to be moved. The roots will be getting a bit too big for the pot it's in, so it's time to put it in something bigger so it can start to grow a bit stronger. So the first technique is going to be potting up, or potting on, and that is basically taking it from a small seedling tray into a bigger pot so we can start to grow its roots out a bit more, but in between it being big enough to go out into the garden because it might still be too cold, or it's just not big and strong enough to handle going out yet. So it's kind of intermediate stage basically. So once our seeds have gotten to about this size, we're going to move them on to a bigger pot. Want it to be at least double than the one it was in previous. So these ones I've already done already, but I'll show you what I'm doing now. I'm just using a general all-purpose compost for this one. Previously in the seedling video we were using a seedling mix, which is a lot finer, a lot softer, lighter. This one is just kind of general all-purpose compost, so it should be fine for this. So I'm going to half fill my pot this time. Yeah, about half. Just so it's ready. And this is a pea, by the way. I'm going to get my cell tray, I'm going to hold the plant like this, push from the bottom, wiggle it out. Delicate job this, so be very careful. Try not to damage any of the roots. So I've got my plant like this. I'm going to pop that on the surface of the soil that I've just put in my pot. Again, being very careful with the roots. Another handful of compost. And sprinkling that over like this. Trying to keep it nice and upright. And making sure none of the roots are exposed when we're finished. Once it's in, press it down a little bit, not too much, just firm it down to the touch. Just until it starts resisting. And then you're done. That's it. Give it a bit of a water. Put my trusty watering can back again. And that's it. Again, we're going to keep this somewhere nice and warm until it's big enough to go outdoors. Later on, when it's nearly ready to go out, when it's gotten a bit bigger, like this guy here, and it's really outgrowing its pot again, we might want to start hardening it off. So that means leaving it outside for a little bit during the day, just to get it used to being outside, and then taking it back in again in the evening when it gets cold. Maybe do that for a few days before we start taking it outdoors and planting it straight in the ground. That's what we're going to do next with this one. This guy's ready to go in already. He's been sitting in his intermediate pot for long enough now. It's time for him to go and see the soil outside. So let's go and do that now. So this next transplanting technique is called planting out. So we just did potting on, which is taking your seedling from its seedling tray into an intermediate pot. Well, once it reaches a big enough size that it's overgrown its intermediate pot, like this lovely Borlotti bean here, it's time for it to go in the ground. So I've now dig a hole in the ground that is about twice the size of the bean plant's pot here, so that it's got plenty of room for the roots to grow. Now once I've dug my hole, I'm going to get a nice handful of compost. This is just general purpose, all-purpose compost that you can get from any garden centre again. And put enough in the bottom of the hole for that plant to be able to sit comfortably with the top of the current pot soil layer just below the top of the soil that it's going into. So that looks about right, I think. So very gently, as before, going to put my hands over the pot like this so I can keep it steady, squeeze the sides, squeeze the bottom, lift the pot off, and I'm just going to gently lower it into its little resting place, like that. I've got plenty of room around the outsides to fill up with more compost. So I'm going to do that now. Gently firming it in as I go. Not too hard though, just enough for it to hold it in place. Don't want to choke the poor thing. And then fill up to just about the level that you dug from. And then I've still got this soil left over from when I dug the hole, so I'm just going to push that back over. Firm it round a little bit. Again, not too hard. And get my trusty watering can and give it a good soaking. And that'll be that. Now once it starts to grow big enough, this is a bean plant and they grow pretty tall. They're going to need a bit of support. So in the next video, we're going to be talking about how to stake up your plants when they get too big to hold up their own weight. So tune into the next one and we'll talk you through that. But for now, thanks for joining me. If you really liked the video, leave us a like, share with any of your friends and family that you think might find it useful, and leave us a comment for any other tips and tricks that you might want or find useful. All right, thanks for joining us and see you next time.